Hello and welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema, the podcast that goes to the cinema every week, watches a couple of films, stays at home, watches a couple of things on streaming platforms, rates them all out of 5 and sees where our money has been better spent this week. My name is Tosin and I am your non-cinema watching host, based up in Bromsgrove near Birmingham, and joining me as always on the Isle of Wight are Sharon Bollen.
Hello there.
Shaun Harris.
Hi. Hello.
And from London, bringing the culture, bringing the big city vibes, it is Holly Nesling.
Hello.
Hello all, yes, and I have had yet another week of not making it to the cinema because I think I'm just gonna I think it's just my life now. I've just given up more. If I ever find myself in the cinema again, I'm just gonna be like, whoa, what is this? But hey, I mean, Shaun and Sharon, you'll understand because you live on the Isle of Wight, and I remember when I used to live, because obviously lived in London and then moved to the Isle of Wight. And obviously there's no shopping centre on the Isle of Wight. And so every now and then I would leave the island and go to the mainland and go to Southampton or Oxford or somewhere like that and go into a shopping centre. And it would be like a, whoa! Whoa, look at this! Just because I hadn't seen one for a while. And I feel like that's what I'm going to feel like when I finally make it back into a cinema. When family life finally lets me get back into a cinema, I'm going to be like, oh my God, this is amazing. Best thing ever.
You're going to have to come down to London and we'll have to go to the Odeon Lux in Leicester Square or
We
something.
we should all meet up. All of us. We should all go. Sharon, you and me. We could go up to London either on the train or
Netflix versus cinema.
and we could
Jolly
do
Boys
a
outing.
trip. Maybe something good at the IMAX or the BFI or somewhere like that.
Ooh, the BFI.
I keep thinking.
Something.
Oh yeah,
something.
BFI.
I love
I'm
the
liking-
BFI.
I've always wanted to do one of these, sort of when they do a season of films or something like that. I've always wanted to go and check that out. But
Well,
we'll
why don't we have a week? Oh, it's tough for you because you've got little ones. But I was going to say, we could do. We can't really do a weekend. I was going to say we could do a whole weekend. But what I would love us to do one year in October is go up to Bradford to the National Media Theatre and see Celluloid Saturday with watch a Cinerama movie in proper Cinerama, 3-strip Cinerama. So you guys can actually, because I shouldn't imagine any of you guys have seen one, have you? Not in the original 3-strip now. So just to get just to see the tears roll down your face at the intermission.
Well, sure, I'll tell you, at this rate in October, that might be my next trip to a cinema, and there will be tears running down my face.
Yeah.
Just from the fact that I might need to go to a cinema, I'll be like, oh my God, this is amazing. Why isn't this prescribed on the NHS? And stuff like that. But
I guess I was quite lucky. When I'm managing, but anyway.
Yeah, but I know that you have mentioned that, and you did say, and we did make tentative plans to do this, and actually record the podcast from the Bradford, I think it was called Big Screen Weekender.
Yeah, widescreen weekend. Yeah,
widescreen weekend. That was it. Because you mentioned that during COVID, and back in those days when nobody could go to the cinema.
Go to cinema, I know.
Hey. Anyway, speaking about the cinema, what have we seen? Those of you lucky people that can leave your houses and go to the cinema, what have you seen this week?
Well, I've seen The Boys in the Boat. I managed to get to see that because I quite like my stories of it, although I didn't realise it was a book. But anyway,
okay.
So I managed to see that, and I love George Clooney movies, so I managed to see that. And I also saw The Holdovers, but we had a review last week on that. So
yeah, but we can check back, especially in this awards time. I think it's actually quite key it's quite good when somebody sees a film and then someone can come back and say that was rubbish. So speaking of which, Shaun, my brother in Nigeria finally saw Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. And I sent him the YouTube review that I did of it, and he was like, "What? Generous much? 3 stars." So then I sent him the rewatch discussion that we did, where you essentially said exactly the same thing. It's like, how can you be so generous? 3 stars. And when I sent him your review of it, he went, "Now that's more like it."
Well, thank him for me.
Yes, I'll thank my brother Laolu for you that he agreed with you on Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, and then he went off on a rant about DC and what the hell are they doing. But yes, never mind about. Okay, so we saw Boys. So you saw Boys in the Boat and The Holdovers in cinema.
Yep, and I saw on streaming. I saw Knuckle Girl and Crazy Samurai 1 verse 400.
Yeah, because going in with Shaun's newfound late in life career of becoming a YouTube star in Japan, no
No less. I'm big in Japan tonight.
Yes, but in Japan, no less. Shaun has decided people loved his Godzilla -1. Well, not even they loved, they're still loving his Godzilla -1 review on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, so much that Shaun has decided he's knuckling down, if you pardon the pun, he's knuckling down on Japanese stuff, and he watched Knuckle Girl, which you've shown up with on Zoom with a picture in the background, I guess a poster for Knuckle Girl. It looks intriguing. It looks intriguing because it has it seems to have an anime character, bit and a live action bit. So
it is based on an anime book apparently.
Okay, cool. That makes sense now. That makes sense. All right, cool. So we shall carry on with that. And Holly, how about you? Cinema.
I saw. What did I see? Remind me what I saw.
Something about strangers.
You said All of Us Strangers.
Yes,
that's the one.
Thank you. I saw All of Us Strangers. So go on.
No, I was just going to say I did see the trailer for that, and I've seen that, but I really don't fancy that film for some reason. I don't know. I normally watch every film, but I don't fancy that one. So I'll be interested to hear your review, mate.
Yeah. I feel like it might be right up Holly Street, but but no spoilers. Keep that to later.
Yeah. No, I'm saving it.
And okay, cool. And Sharon, yourself?
Haven't actually seen anything anywhere. I haven't seen anything at the cinema or anything at home. But I have to say, my broadband keeps dropping out. We're waiting for the engineer to come to fix the telegraph pole outside our house, which got damaged in the storm about 2 weeks ago. So I might have to sort of leave you in a minute because I keep seeing my broadband. I keep freezing. My screen just keeps going. So I haven't actually got anything to share. So if I disappear, it's just because I keep losing my internet.
No, because you're like, no, this isn't a podcast for people who haven't seen anything, who haven't watched anything this week. I'm off.
I'm going. But yes, every now and then I think, is it me or is it you guys? And everyone locks on my screen. So when that happens again, I'll probably just disappear.
No problem.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen anything. I've been watching my usual things. I tend to go on to BBC Four.
Oh yeah.
So I've been watching random things on there, but I haven't completed anything yet. So that might come in the future.
So when you say random things on BBC Four, because BBC Four seems to be highbrow documentaries, usually about music or stuff that is not in English. So what have you been watching? Is it been documentaries or stuff that's not in English? Oh, I think we might have okay, never mind. I think Sharon might have frozen. Yeah, it looks like Sharon is frozen.
Yeah.
Okay, and Sharon's gone. Yeah. All right. But we'll carry on. So, and I think, Holly, you also mentioned Rusting, that you saw Rusting. And I know that I know you wanted to find out what I thought about it. And I have summarily failed to watch it. So I will make you a promise to try and watch it in the next week, and then we can talk about it next week.
Perfect.
Because that is in the Oscar. That's in Oscar contention, so we can talk about that. As long as we talk about it before the Oscars actually happen. And all right, so but at home, I saw a show on BBC iPlayer called Boat Story.
Ooh, couple of boats.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Boat. It's a Boaty McBoatface show. All right, so
I also saw Maestro, but I think we may have done Maestro before, haven't we?
We have not done Maestro.
I have seen Maestro.
All right, okay, cool. So I'll tell you what, we'll put Maestro, and Rustin for next week. And I'll just put that down right now so that we remember. But let us kick off.
Someone else can watch Maestro as well, because
yeah, okay, we'll try and watch that. What's that on? What's that on?
That's on Netflix.
That's on Netflix, right? Okay.
And it's on the Oscar list. And yes, I have an Oscar spreadsheet.
Excellent.
And yes, you can filter on categories.
I think is there any possibility that the Boys in the Boat is on there or not? Is that up for anything? Nah.
No, I think it was. I think the time it was released and the way that they've pushed it, they were hoping for an Oscars push for the Boys in the Boat.
Okay.
And it didn't happen.
Okay, yeah, no, it'd be interesting to when I give my review, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but then it's like every year there's always a film that comes out and goes, yes, Oscar prestige picture, and just gets summarily, like, just sort of like ignored.
Yeah.
but all right, so let us kick off in cinema as is our want, and let us kick off with All of Us Strangers, the film things that I know about this film: stars Andrew Scott and Paul Mescal, and everybody, a lot of people are raving about it, but I think it's the kind of people who rave about it, the kind of people who like their, shall we say, melancholy cinema. And there's been a lot of uproar about the fact that Andrew Scott was not nominated for a Best Actor BAFTA or a Best Actor Oscar. So, Holly, with that being the background, please take it away and tell us about All of Us Stranger.
Okay, so the premise of the film is that Andrew Scott is a film TV writer who lives alone in a London apartment block. He's the only person only one of two apartments that are filled. And on the first night of the film, there's a fire alarm, which clearly isn't the first time it happens. It's happened, and they would evacuate the building, and he goes back in, and then Paul Mescal shows up on his doorstep, rather drunk, semi-propositioning him, inviting himself in for a drink, and Andrew Scott says, no, I'm not interested. Go away.
Yeah.
In tandem with this, Andrew Scott had lost his parents many years before at the same time in an accident, and he had grown up in suburban London. So this would have been in the, 1980s.
Yep.
I think how old I am, because he's about the same age as I am. And he is reminiscing about his past and goes back to his old home, where he discovers that somehow his parents are still alive at exactly the age they were when they died.
Yeah.
They're aware that they're dead, and he starts to reconnect with them, going through the fact that he's gay, his parents having to deal with, 1980s sensibilities, the things that concern them, how they feel about it. And at the same time, he starts a relationship with Paul Mescal's character.
Yep.
Which is a little, not, I wouldn't say complicated, it's not terribly complicated, it's a very loving relationship. And he is processing his childhood and the loss of his parents, whilst and trying to come to terms with life as a whole. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
But there's that melancholy I was talking about.
Hugely melancholy. And in some ways, nothing happens.
It sounds like it.
It's beautiful. It involves him going back and forth on the train out of, somewhere not quite central London. I did try to work out where it was, but then disengaged, possibly London Bridge or Southwark or something.
Did it do that whole film geography thing where it's kind of like, oh dear?
Yeah, he was on a train that looked like it was going out of Victoria, but I'm not sure that I spotted how he'd got into Victoria from where he'd been. But
yeah,
the wonders of cinematographic geography.
Yeah.
So it really is him going back and forth and into this house of his childhood with his parents, who are so happy to see him, to be reunited with their son, who don't know how they died, but they know they've died, and they want to understand, they want him to be okay, they want him to be happy, they want to know how his life has gone. And it's, let's say, nothing happens, everything happens.
Yeah.
It is heartbreakingly beautiful. I cried like a small child because it's me. But also it genuinely warranted the crying as well, rather than just me being soppy as per usual. I'd say it's a really special film.
So how many stars would you give it?
I'm gonna give it a 4.
Ooh.
I could go 5, frankly. The only reason I'm not going 5 is because it's having seen everything that's, a number of the Oscar films and things that it's up for. I'm not sure it's quite as good, but it's very close.
Yeah,
And
because
given last week, was it last week I was talking about the holdovers, and
yes,
another film where things do and don't happen.
yeah.
So it's a very nearly a 5, and I could have my arm twisted into a 5 if.
I thought everything I heard about this film, and when you said you watched this film, I thought that this would be a nailed on 5 for you without even watching the film. But that is me. That is me sort of like, activating a few of the stereotypes that I have. Because like,
but you're right, because I could absolutely, the only reason I'm not going 5 is because I am, falling under the sway of the Oscar committee.
The Oscar committee. Okay, so when you said this, have you seen a film called Petit Maman?
No.
Okay, cool. So this sounds like a combination of Ghosts and Petit Maman. Yeah, because Petit Maman is it's a French film that was released, I think, last year or the year before, and it's about a girl who goes for like this summer holiday, goes up into the woods, and then runs into another girl who seems to be lost, and then she takes the girl back to her home, and then realizes that the girl she's bumped into is actually her mum, and she meets her mum at the same age that she is. So yeah. Ooh. And obviously Ghost, the whole thing of like, them going to a house and everything like that. And I was like, okay, cool. But yeah, oh, cool. So all of us strangers. And so just quick question about the performances about Andrew Scott and Paul Mescal, because Paul Mescal is nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Superb.
All right. Cool.
Absolutely superb.
All right.
Both of them are breathtaking. Paul Mescal in particular has just, his performance is absolutely spot on.
Yeah,
and the more I say, I'm switching it. I'm giving it a 5. And it was just so beautiful.
Oh, decide. You see, now, Holly, this is bad because all you've just done is just confirm and strengthen the stereotypes I have in my head. That's all you've just done. That's all you've done right now.
You can just predict me. This is what happens. 20-something years of friendship. You know how my brain works.
Okay,
just
cool.
how soppy I am.
Because I might need to watch this because Paul Mescal, I've got to be honest with you, I still don't see what the big deal is. He just seems a bit sad in everything. I think if Paul Mescal turned around and was like, right, that's it, I'm going to do a kickabout comedy, or I'm going to be in a Marvel movie, then I'll be interested. But
I would love to see him do that, to be fair, for curiosity's sake. But he absolutely landed the poignancy.
Yeah.
You're selling it to me. You're selling it to me. From the trailer, I didn't think that it was one that I would like, but
I'd been a bit sort of on the fence because our reason for seeing it was a little bit, I won't say odd. We were going to see Colour Purple, and then it got cancelled because the projector had gone down.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You said booking a second film when Odeon think you're in another film. Yeah. When not in the film, you cancelled it. You expletives.
Yeah.
So we went and had a drink and said, what should we go and see? And there was that and The Boys in the Boat on at the same time. And it was a bit of a, what shall we go with?
Sounds like you made the right choice.
It was, we were so pleased we did.
Oh, Shaun, I am so looking forward to your review of The Boys in the Boat later.
And because we're wonderfully middle class, we went and grabbed our bite to eat afterwards in the Ivy Cafe in Richmond, because that's what you do. And everywhere else is bloody closed, so...
All right, cool. And now let us move on. Let us move on to Netflix and Friends, and I'm going to talk about Boat Story. The first of our two-hander to do with boats in this one. I think they are, from what I know, these are going to be two very different films things about boats. So Boat Story is, I'm going to start the timer. Yeah, Boat Story is a show that is, it's on BBC iPlayer. It's a couple, I think it's 6 parts. It's 6 parts TV series. And the whole idea behind it is they're set up somewhere in northern England on the coast somewhere. I think maybe I'm not sure I'm not sure whether it's east or west, but it's northern England, and it stars Daisy Haggard and Patterson Joseph. And when you meet them, you meet Daisy Haggard, and she's this person who used to work in a factory worker. She used to work in a factory. She had like a workplace accident that meant that she couldn't work anymore, so she's lost a hand. She couldn't work anymore. Her boyfriend has broken up with her, and she's been with him for years, for probably for well over a decade. And when she met him, he had a son who he was a single parent to, and she pretty much raised this kid. But her partner has broken up with her, and he says you're not allowed to see the kid because you don't have any parental rights. Because even though she raised the kid and the kid sees her as his mother, he's like, legally you have no parental rights because this is not biologically your son. So that's what's going on in her life. She doesn't have a job. She can't really work well because of the injury that she had. And one morning she comes across. She's walking about her dog on the beach, and she comes across this beached boat that's just there in the middle of it. And Patterson Joseph is walking his dog, and comes across and they meet at this boat, and they go, "Oh, I wonder what's going on. Let's call the police." Then they look into the boat and they find 2 dead people in the boat. They find 2 dead people, and they're like, "Oh my God, we need to call the police." But then while they're looking around, as one of them's trying to call the police, they find loads and loads of cocaine on this boat. And you find out with Patrick Joseph, he's a lawyer who has a gambling habit, and because of his gambling habit, that's why he had to leave London and go up north so he could actually afford a house. He hasn't told his family about it, but he sees this and he's like, I'm sure I can find someone who can help us move this. I'm sure I can find someone who can help us move all this cocaine. It's going to have a street value of this. Don't you need this in your life? I know I need it in my life. So from meeting up on this beach, they become this sort of like odd couple who start going into the crime world and trying to move this ton of cocaine. There's absolute loads of cocaine that they're trying to move in. And then it becomes kind of, you know how you have like a Tarantino movie, or probably more apt is like a Guy Ritchie movie, like early Guy Ritchie movies, where you have all these disparate characters that come along and everything like that. Because obviously, if you find a boatload of cocaine, that boatload of cocaine has to belong to somebody who is going to come looking for their boatload of cocaine. And so there you have that. You have like the French actor Thierry Cario, who plays a character just called the Tailor or Le Tailor. Who shows up, and then you have like Craig Fairbass, who shows up as this heavy, and this show is bloody. There's a scene in it where these people just go into a police station and they just mow everybody down, and it's the kind of show where Shaun, I'm not sure whether you would like this or wouldn't like this. You shouldn't get too attached to anybody, because even the small characters, they make you care really much about the small characters, and they all have their own like inner lives and all that kind of stuff. But nobody is safe. Nobody. There are some really painful scenes in this. There's this weird narrator who you never really see, who just comes on and he says, "And now, Shaun." Well, I'm just those are not their names, but it's like Shaun and Sharon found a boatload of cocaine, and what are they gonna do about it? And they have this sort of like intertitles that show up, like, you know, like chapter titles, like an old school silent movie that show up in there. And there's a bit in the show where you're watching a play about the events that happened in the show.
Wow. Is it like a comedy or a thriller or a bit of both?
It is both.
It's both, right?
It is both. It's definitely got thriller elements. It doesn't shy away from the violence. It doesn't shy away from the blood. It doesn't shy away from the consequences that happen. It doesn't shy away from bad things happening to good people. But at the same time, it just keeps making you laugh. Like, things keep happening that just keep making you laugh. Like this guy who there's a guy who is like the biggest killer that you meet in this show, right? And he has gone in there, he's killed lots of people, but then you find out like he has this real sort of like predilection where he's like, oh my God, he's like, I never wanted to be a killer. I always wanted to be a when he tells you what he always wanted to be, it's just kind of like, what? And I think it's quite a good show. I think it's quite a nice yarn. It keeps you interested. It goes back and forth. The characters are brilliant, and the place where it ends up, when some of the motivations of the character, especially one character, what the end game is and what they're planning to do and what they want to do with this whole story, I don't think you'll ever see it coming. You will not.
Oh wow! Okay.
You will not see what this guy is planning to do. You will not see it. And when it happens, you're like, what? it goes crazy. It goes crazy. So I think I really like Boat's story. I think Daisy Haggard and Patterson Joseph are really, really good in it. I would give it a 4 out of 5. I think Shaun is the kind of thing where if you watched and you were reviewing it, you would be talking about all these different side characters, like the sort of like the guy who's trying to build a drug empire because he's only a small time crook and everything like that, and he's just mental. He's meant like everybody in this show is mental. There's just something off about everyone in this show, and I would give it a 4 out of 5. I think Boat's story is actually quite good, and it's from the guys who made The Tourist, which I wasn't that big a fan of The Tourist. I much preferred this. I thought that this was this it goes along. It has that sort of like sparky thing about it, and you're just okay, what's gonna happen, and then oh my god, and then there's a showdown because all these different strands have come together, and then what's gonna happen when they all come together, and all that. So 4 out of 5. I think you'd like it.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Okay.
Have you watched series 2 of The Tourist? Because I still haven't watched series 1.
No, I haven't seen series 2. But then the truth is, series 1, I got to the end of The Tourist season 1, and I was kind of like, yeah, okay, cool. And it was supposed to be a 1-season show, and I was happy with where they left it off. But I think they came up with an idea, and the fact that because season 1 is set in Australia and season 2 is set in Ireland, and that intrigues me, but not enough to press play.
Okay. It's on my maybe list, but only the maybe list.
There's so much. The trouble is, there's so much, isn't there? There's so much.
There is.
I mean, it's ridiculous amounts of stuff to see. Where I'd start on something, I think, no, I'll move on to something else, or especially on the streaming side of it, which is why it's good to go to the cinema, I think, because then you've got the concentration and you're not like distracted.
You're like take the choice away from me, please.
Exactly.
Take away my free will.
Because I've binned a couple of things, like 10 minutes in recently, which aren't very good. But once upon a time, I could never not finish something I've been watching. I'm just like, you know what? This is too bad, even for me.
And this is from a woman who watched the entirety of Monsternado.
Exactly. So if I go, I cannot be bothered.
Yep. Yeah, they've messed up the first 10 minutes.
Darling and don't.
And now on to the second half of our Boaty McBoatface thing, and this is the boys in the boat.
The boys in the boat.
So from what I understand, presently what this film is about. This film is about I think it's the University of Seattle.
No, University of Washington. Yeah, well,
Washington,
Seattle.
In Seattle. Yeah. University of Washington boating crew who ended up going to the 1936 Olympics. Mm-hmm. And it's all about what happened and how they got together. And from this, I'm expecting your standard sports movie where you got the coach, you got the grizzled coach, you got the kids who are going to come together and blah, 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 blah. And then in the end, triumph, punch the air, USA, USA. That's what I'm expecting. So Shaun, tell us about this.
Okay, I'll tell you about this. Yeah, you're exactly right. It's I mean, this was quite interesting because it was directed by George Clooney. Well, I'm a huge, I love Clooney movies. I really, really do. I really love
the ones that he directs. Yeah,
the ones that he directs. Yeah. I mean, well, I love some of the ones he's in as well. But in particular, I'm like a big fan of his. And this is based on the book about it's basically they're a minor college, sort of lower middle class, and they're competing against the big Yale and Harvard and all the big boys, but to get a place in the Olympic spot. So yeah. What was it we were saying about if you could switch off after 10 minutes into the film? So anyway, so
what you're saying is that George Clooney should be thankful that this film was released in cinemas and not on Amazon Prime. Yeah,
I mean, there's a couple of subplots, with relationships, because one of them's like really poor because there's obviously set in the Depression era, and so there's some few love stories, a few conflicts, a few like when they changed the coxswain and stuff. But normally I sort of like these sort of things, but it was like, oh, come on. Anyway, the rowing scenes, a couple of the rowing scenes are quite interesting. I thought, well, I'll stick this out because the 36 Olympics, I really want to see the 36 Olympics. I like that idea because I saw the old Jesse Owens movie and things like that. And which I enjoyed, I think. So I'm thinking, I'm looking forward to this. Anyway, there's a race where they compete to go in the Olympics, and they just win against the big, the big college boys. And they end up going. I thought, so I was rubbing my hands. Oh, here we go, 36 Olympics. Yes, wow, it was dull. But there was a nod. So in the final, there's like you got the Hungarians, the Germans, and the Italians and whatever, and that bit, I suppose, there's a little bit of tension there, which is okay, which is quite good. Hitler looked like a parody. He didn't look like Hitler at all. He looked like a cartoon figure, I thought, from my opinion, anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so yeah, it's a sports film. You've got all the subplots, like you would have the Grizzly coach, like that, and they've got they have to obviously,
Edgerton, isn't it?
Yeah, because they've got no money. Because they've got no money, they have to do. They have to get the Olympic Committee or whatever say, oh, you're going to have to get so much money if you want to enter. You got to get this money. And he said, well, we haven't got the money. We need a big sponsor, and that. And they do a drive and they do a
car wash.
You car wash, all that sort of stuff to collect money, and the community puts in money and says, here's some of this and this, and then how much? Oh, we're like £1,000 short, or $1,000 short. So anyway, cut a long story short, but I'm pretty sure this must have been filmed. I reckon some of it was filmed on the Thames, But Hollywood you would know probably more than me. I'm pretty certain it looks that sort of, to me, it looked English. It looked like English. So
people have said that Seattle does look a little bit British. It definitely has British weather, that's for sure.
But but I mean, to me, it didn't look like probably Seattle. I suppose it's probably on the same line, isn't it? Same line of longitude or latitude, which so that might make sense. But yeah, it reminded me of somewhere in England. Anyway, man,
some of it was apparently filmed in London.
It was.
Oh no, yeah, you're right. It says the majority of the movie was shot in England. Yeah.
Wow. And some of it in Didcot Railway Centre. And Didcot is the most exciting place in the world.
I know. I used to live just down the road from Didcot Railway Centre. There's not much going on there.
No. East Walmsley, I don't think there's much going on there either.
No. Well, anyway, this plods. Oh man, does this plod? And if we had been, like we said earlier, I'd have been. If I'd have been watching this at home, I probably would have gone for a wee and made myself a cup of coffee and waited until the Olympics. Because I mean, Race was a good movie. Race, I enjoyed.
Race is a very good movie. Yeah.
Yeah. But this, I don't know. I wanted it. Perhaps I wanted it to be more. I don't know. Being George Clooney, and as I say, the best thing I suppose was the race scene. But I didn't have any sympathy for any of the characters. I thought, they were, and for me, it was just dull and plods and I boring movie. No wonder it didn't get any nominations at the Oscars. I'm not surprised. I expect everybody felt the same. I'm sure they must have done. I mean,
unless of course you're in Seattle or you're in the state of Washington or Washington State,
or something like that.
Because apparently this story means loads. And when they played it from there, they had standing ovation. But everything I've heard about this film, I've just thought it's just going to be a big dumb American sports movie. It's like it's gonna that's like a genre on its own, and it's like there's all these tropes you've got to hit about the last minute victory from the jaws of defeat, the disparate group of characters coming together and sorting out their differences to become a team. And it's like, and so looking at this film and I'm going, I know it's directed by George Clooney and everything like that, but it feels like I know this film before I've even watched it.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. But I was so looking forward to the Olympics bit. It's like halfway through that, but no, that was just as big a letdown as ever.
Oh, wow.
And you got all
no Chariots of Fire moment.
2 stars.
2 stars. So it's not like, because I remember there was a time when I had this realization that the films Cool Runnings and Eddie the Eagles happened at the same Olympics. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, what is it with this Zoom balloon thing? I'm like, I realized that those two happened. I was like, oh, 2 good films about this things happen at the same Olympics. That's pretty cool. It looks like Race and it looks like The Boys in the Boat has let Race down.
Yes.
So we don't have 2 good movies set there.
Which Olympics was Chariots of Fire?
That was a really early one, wasn't it? That was like 1912 or something like that, wasn't it? Or 1908, something like that. I mean, that was. I'm pretty certain that was probably Might have been then. I'm not sure when the Olympics start. 1908 Olympics, something like that, maybe.
Yeah, it was definitely early. Just remembering the costumes.
I'm trying to think.
It actually took me ages to realize that Chariots of Fire was an Olympic film.
Right? Yeah.
Because all I knew about it was that scene on the beach that has been parodied to death. But anyway,
yeah.
There's the running around the quad, isn't there, as well?
You see, don't even know that scene. I just know the beach scene with Vangelis playing on in the background. That's the only thing I know about that film. And also because being in church, the Chariots of Fire gets quoted a lot in churches because one of the guys in Chariots of Fire was a Christian and refused to run on Sundays, oh my God, pastors love that story. They love that. They love that story. And they talk about it. And there's this line. I've never seen the film, but there's a line in it where he talks about, when I run, I feel the pleasure of God. And I'm like, I've heard that line so many times from God knows how many different people preaching, just because, there's something in the mainstream that isn't treating Christians as idiots.
He was a Presbyterian, I think, a Scottish Presbyterian. And you should watch it because it is a beautiful film. I first watched it when I was, I don't know, 9 or something, and I carry it with me.
You see, now, there was a thing that there was at one point I had, because over the years I've had many ideas for different podcasts. And one time it was going to be a blog before I realized how easy it was to podcast, and I thought I'm a lot better at talking than I am at writing. So, but one of the ideas I had was having a blog called Late to the Party, where I talk about all the things that I have eventually gotten around to watching. Chariots of the Fire was going to be on there. There's some essentially, if something gets shown regularly on a bank holiday, I probably haven't watched it. So The Great Escape, never seen it. Thingy to Glory with Sylvester Stallone. What?
Seen Zulu, Magnificent Seven?
Zulu I've watched. Magnificent Seven I've watched because of when we were doing the podcast. They don't make them like they used to.
Yeah.
So that's when I finally watched Magnificent Seven. But there's a lot of stuff that gets shown bank holidays I haven't seen. I just haven't seen. So and I think Chariots of Fire is one of those things I'll be like, that goes onto my late to the party watch list. Right, so let us go, and this is Shaun. Shaun, this is our chance to try and get ourselves into that Japanese yen. Try to see if we can get us some more subscribers in Japan. And you're going to talk about Knuckle Girl. So
I am going to talk about Knuckle Girl. Yes.
So you said from the picture you have in your background, it looks like this is something to do with some sort of fighting, bare knuckle boxing. I don't know, but based on a manga and now turned into a TV show. But tell us about Knuckle Girl.
Okay, Knuckle Girl. So in this movie, she's basically a boxer, an amateur boxer, really, really good amateur boxer, and she just happens to one day she sees these knuckle dusters, they fall down, and then you don't see any more. So she boxes, she's really good, she's going to be good, she's going to go pro. Her coach is really, really up for it, and then she's got a sister. She comes from a really poor family, but she's got a sister, and her sister gets kidnapped because there's this Yakuza group that are running this illegal underground bare knuckle, competition and taking loads of money on the bets. And the villain who is a proper, archetypical Japanese villain. In fact, almost comic. You know what I mean? Well, he's raking in all the money, and he needs this golden blood that her sister's got to actually encrypt all his all the money, so that the other Yakuza, so there's like the boss of the Yakuza saying, what you do, you can't get it because it's this blood.
Okay, so reasons.
Knuckle
Girl,
okay,
knuckle some people.
Yeah, Knuckle Girls knuckles on people. That's exactly right. That's the story. So she ends up sort of. She picks up a couple of guys. She picks up on her way. She picks up an old boyfriend who's a terrific fighter as well. And also they find this shall we say, computer nerd who's also good at fighting. They've got that, so they can encrypt and do stuff. And so you got this little team almost that they go hunting. You've got a crooked cop and a good cop, and that was quite. I liked some parts of that because of what happened to them. I won't say what, but I
Yep.
really, like my silliness. But no, that wasn't the silliness. And
Yeah, Shaun's never in battle against silliness.
yeah, against silliness. So yeah, so that was quite probably what would have happened in the situation like that. And as I say, you see the baddies, and then she ends up fighting this. She goes, right, okay, I'll fight for. Yeah, we're going to put you in with the best. This is huge monster mountain fighter that she get. And they say because he's so big, you can use your knuckle dusters, because she's brought a knuckle duster along to fight him anyway. Anyway, so there's a big fight. Let's just say, yeah, okay, and so she wins, obviously, because she's gone to, by nearly would nearly be killed.
Are you telling us the whole thing now? Is this the end of the story you're telling
us?
No.
That's just the start, right? Anyway,
okay, cool.
And then the guy reneges on his deal, so she has to go through loads, and her mates help her, and there's a scene in it, like a scene from Old Boy, which I don't know if you've ever seen Old Boy.
The corridor fight.
The original, the corridor fight. Yeah, there's a scene very similar to Old Boy, and then. Anyway, so it goes on like that. So that's basically the story. You can imagine what's going to go on. They're all good at fighting, and the computer dude manages to encrypt the golden blood thing, so he hasn't. He's like, oh. And
that is because this sounds to me like a very kind of, I said the boys in the boat.
The boys. Yeah. We know what we're going to get.
And this sounds to me like one of those, like what you're going to get. You know what you're going to get, but if done properly, that is wonderful. Like essentially, it's like just essentially one woman army going down, mowing down everything down to go get her sister back or something like that.
That's it.
Like giving you sort of like Taken vibes or something like that, mixed up with there was a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie called The Quest, which some of the stuff
I haven't seen.
Yeah, you haven't seen.
But no, I haven't seen The Quest.
He actually directed it as well. I thought it was quite good. It's like get this out. It's Jean-Claude Van Damme directing Roger Moore. In the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
Roger Moore. Show me emotion, Roger.
Yeah. It was that. Okay, so anyway, back to Knuckle Girl. So
back to Knuckle Girl.
Does it do a good job of this?
It's a bit of a mixed match. It's. I really liked the way it went. I thought some of the scenes were well choreographed. I like what happened to some of the characters. The only thing I had against it was that, again, it's this thing of the punishment that some of these guys can take. They can fall like a couple of stories and hit things on the way down, and still manage. So that was. But then it's an Asian film. It's a.
It's almost kind of like a bit of a heightened reality that you take with that.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, you have to accept that. Rather, and it's just like that's a lot of punish. Like when the cars, don't break down at all when they like raced 500 miles and been beaten and rolled and everything else. So yeah, so that probably was my biggest beef. Is I don't think someone would be able to take as much punishment as they actually take. As much damage when falling over or getting punched or getting beat down. Because I mean, I don't know. I got punched once, and I'm pretty sure I wouldn't. I wouldn't be able to get up and. Well, I've been punched a few times, but I got punched. I mean, you're not a Japanese woman top boxer. I'm not. That's true. So this is pretty standard. But I thought it was a very reasonable effort. I liked what goes on. It wasn't like ridiculously over the top. It wasn't, and most things were sensible, bar the the punishment that these people can take. So on the whole, I suppose I'm going to have to give this, I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. Apart from those things, so I'm going to give this a 3-star. This is for me. This will be a 3-star film. Cool. 3 just to watch. It's a decent watch. Kill a few minutes.
I had my finger hovering over 3 for a while.
Yeah, did you really? Yeah.
As I was entering into a never-ending spreadsheet of film reviews, I had my finger hovering right over 3. I was like, this sounds like a nailed-on 3. As you were speaking. But although, Shaun, to tell you something, to jump on your point about the amount of damage some people can take in films and how it gets a bit much after a while, I watched John Wick Chapter 4. Talk about being late to the party. I finally watched John Wick Chapter 4. I mean, I have told you guys before about how after John Wick Chapter 3, I was done. And I was like, I do not care about this franchise anymore. This is going for too long. This is getting too convoluted. Why the hell are you doing that? And why are you coming in? And honestly, John Wick Chapter 4 hasn't made me feel... It's an improvement on Chapter 3, but it hasn't made me feel any different. Mm-hmm. And this is the thing, because your point about the amount of damage people can take was just in my head throughout this film. Because there is one scene in this film where John Wick gets hit by, I think, 3 cars in a row. So within the same scene, he gets hit by 3 different cars and gets up and keeps, and I'm like going, what? and the thing about it is, like, I know I've heard the director talk about it and say that, oh yeah, it's obvious that we're making a cartoon, it's not real or anything like, but in the thing, they go to the lengths of telling you that after John Wick Chapter 3, he'd taken so much of a beating, he had to take months to recover. And so after the months to recover, he goes back and does it. And I'm like, yeah, but if you've gone to the point to tell us that you've taken months to recover, to show a montage of him getting better and everything like that, you can't have it both ways. You can't say he took so much beating because he fell off a roof and it became months to recover, and now in the same night he's going to get hit by 3 different cars, jump out of a 3rd-story building, bounce off the top of a van, hit the floor, get up and keep running. And I'm like,
none of those things.
That's what Shaun says. How good that's happened.
This is just not. It's not good for your bones, at all. That's going to be horrific, issues long term.
And the thing is, and it's just kind of like how they try and make it sound as if they're trying to do something more realistic, and the action scenes themselves. I mean, the thing about John Wick, the reason you go there is for the action. But there's all this other mythology that they try and put around the whole thing that just annoys the heck out of me.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going to give a very small amount of credit to the beekeeper, with the fact that there was actually a small amount of physical response to very difficult and very unpleasant injuries, and people did actually react as though they had been injured. I mean, they still carried on regardless in ridiculous ways. I'm not suggesting that somehow this was realistic.
Yeah.
Subtly less unrealistic.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Subtly.
Somebody can dodge 20,000 bullets fired at them. It's sort of like, well, we
know that's possible. Are you suggesting that can't be done, Shaun?
Well, it can be. That's what I'd say. There's that minuscule chance.
It's always Jason Statham who does it.
It just gets me because I remember when the first John Wick was released, and one of the things that we were talking about was the realism of it. Like, I remember the first John Wick
was good.
Yeah, and I remember Shaun, you are the sort of like, the gatekeeper for realism in films, and you were talking about the fact that he has to do the double tap on the head and everything like that. And by the time they got to the 4th film, this is bloated nonsense.
I think Keanu probably feels the same way because he says he's not going to do another one, doesn't he?
I really hope he sticks to that.
I've got a lot of respect for Keanu, and I don't think he will because he's.
Well, I hope he thinks. I mean, the thing is, I have a lot of respect for what he does in the film because even watching the film, you're looking at it going, you can see he's doing a lot of it himself, and I'm like, that has got to be knackering. His body must be destroyed after making this film, and so you have a lot of respect for him, but there's just things in it. Okay, anyway,
he's the nicest man in the world.
Just one quick one. Golden blood is actually a thing. I actually looked it up because I thought, the realism. Golden blood, and there's about 67 people in the world that have got this single blood group, so they can't, they can't. So yeah, it's actually.
What does it do?
Oh, sorry, golden blood was it the thing? It's just a blood group. It doesn't do anything in particular. It just says it's like people can't get blood transfusions or whatever. But it is a thing.
Oh, like O negative or something.
A B B
A B and O.
Yeah. But it's like all of them. So.
Yeah. It sounds like
mainly I think in Australian Aborigines, but there you go.
Ooh. Yeah, you see, that's what happens. You went and killed them all. Now we don't have any of that stuff anymore. Serves you right, Britain of whatever century that was.
That was There you go.
But okay, so okay, now we just get back to the Holdovers. So Shaun, the Holdovers. This was a film that Holly saw last week, and that I said just from the way this film looks, like it looks like it was made in the 70s, the font and everything like that. That I thought that it would be. Let me put it this way: I would not have been surprised if this film had been made in the 70s and had Jack Nicholson in the young guy role. But what do you think of the Holdovers, Shaun?
Everything that Holly said, it was absolutely brilliant. It was marvelous. It was fantastic. Really, really, I thought it was. I mean, Holly, it was. I mean, I should probably go and see that Stranger Thing which I wouldn't have bothered with. I'll probably go and see that.
Yeah.
All of Us Strangers.
It was
because
beautiful, wasn't it? It was just absolutely the way they handled things.
It was, yeah.
just
And
shivers.
everything I said about Paul Giamatti, I take back because he was great.
He's perfect for it, isn't he? He is exactly the right actor for the role.
It was spot on. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I don't know what it was. It was something. It was just. It wasn't like
beautiful.
Yeah, but nothing. There was nothing really, really new or outstanding. But it just worked really, really well. And with the even the supporting characters, the ones that went off in the, you sort of, and then you get the nasty one as well. But yeah, no, everything about it was great. And I mean, great. Oh, what a great script as well.
It just, I feel slightly damp-eyed thinking about it again because it was just so beautiful.
So I validate everything.
All right. And I'm going to try and ignore everything that you guys have said because I don't want to overhype it. When I eventually see it, obviously on home media.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way I'm ever watching anything ever again. So,
well, if they put it out for an early release on Sky, I am happy to pay for you to be able to watch it so you can tell us what you think.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Right, cool. Well, we will see. We shall see. All right, so I think that's it. And all that is left to do is to figure out who has won this week. So what do you guys think? Netflix or cinema?
It's a toughie this week because did we get a 5 or a 4, Holly? I can't remember if it was a 4 or 5. You went 5 in the end, right? So 5 and the other ones. This could be tied. This could be a tie.
It might be a tie,
I'm going to go tie. I'm going to go with tie.
Yeah, I agree.
You would both be right. We have an average score of 3.5 in both of them. 5 and a 2 for cinemas. Boys in the Boat, you let us down.
You did,
And 4 and a 3 for Netflix and Friends. BBC iPlayer and Amazon Prime showing up this week. Right, so I think that is everything for this week. And until next week, in which I'll go watch some Netflix Oscar contenders in Maestro and Rustin. And I will get over my sort of like my aversion to biopics or biopics. And I will go watch those two. And
what do you think? What do you think the color purple will be like? Because from the trailer, I'm not sure if I'm not gonna
really want to see it. Desperately want to see it.
Now the color purple is, I think the big thing that they have a chance to do is they have a chance to make a more accurate representation of the book than Steven Spielberg did in the 80s.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, because
I've neither read the book nor seen the 80s film. I mean, I know about it, but
I have seen the musical. I've seen the stage musical, which I think I wasn't sure whether they were making a brand new musical or whether this is based on the stage musical, because when I watched the trailer for this, I did not recognize any of the songs. No. Having said that, when I saw the stage musical, I did not think that there were very many memorable songs.
Right, okay. I'll leave that one to you then, Holly, and then I'll go on your recommendation. Okay. That's good. And I'll try and
see it.
I'll try and of course, because it broke down. I'll try and catch the things. Next week, what have we got? We've got the Taste of Things, which is an unlimited one, which I want to see. No, I don't want to see that one. It's the letter one I want to see. They have got American Fiction, film called Migration, Argyle. So I'll probably get to that.
I'm going to see Argyle and American Fiction next week.
I shall watch.
I hope
Argyle, and I will go and see All of Us Strangers. I think,
and let me have a look at all the things I will not be watching. So,
Mean Girls. Mean Girls. What do you reckon about Mean Girls?
I want to see Mean Girls. I really want to see Mean Girls.
Thoroughly ambivalent.
Yeah, I really want to see Mean Girls, but let's see. Let me tell you all the films I will not be seeing in the cinema: Mean Girls, Argyle, Migration. But I was not going to see Migration anyway because no. It it's an animated
cartoon
thing.
One.
Yeah, it's an animated thing about ducks, and it just looks like such a straight down the middle DreamWorks animation. It looks so standard.
It looks very meh.
Yeah, it looks so standard, very mad. There wasn't a joke that made me laugh in the trailer, and the main character is voiced by Kumail Nanjiani, who is beginning to get on my nerves. There is something about him that I do not like, and I don't know what it is, and I hope it isn't. And I hope I'm not being xenophobic, but there's something about his shtick that just gets me. I'm like, no, it's not funny. Okay, anyway, Anyone But You. Yeah, that's still in cinemas. That's been doing well for a rom-com.
There are some weird things that's been advertised. I can't see the color purple in Richmond.
But Anyone But You is everywhere.
I could still see Anyone But You, and I don't even know anything about it other than the poster, which I now know very well.
Anyone But You is a romantic comedy with Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney.
Right. Oh, there. Yeah, that's there.
Yeah, which is essentially look at these. Look at them with their shirts off. Oh, don't they look hot? Look at those washboard abs. Now, come give us your money.
Pretty people. Pretty people
getting together. What's not to like, people? Give us your money. So let's see. The Beekeeper, which is a Sky original, so that should be on TV soon. Wonka.
I think you'll enjoy The Beekeeper, assuming you grit your teeth for the blood.
Baghead.
Baghead.
Baghead. There's a film called Baghead. I've seen that for the last couple of weeks, but it's called Baghead. But I'm not leaving the house.
It's by the same people who did whatever night at
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, right.
Okay. I think it's supposed to be a horror movie, but that's actually on at 9:20 at night, which means I might actually put my entire family to bed and then run out the house.
What do you reckon?
Maybe the only thing I can watch is something I don't want to watch anyway. So babe.
Oh, go on. Yeah, sorry, those carry on.
Oh, Groundhog Day is back in cinemas.
Curious.
Yeah, Groundhog Day.
That has a certain poetry to it, doesn't it?
Yeah. Good one, Holly. Good one.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's like, Groundhog Day is back in cinemas. Ooh, and I don't know why. That just randomly is showing up in the view in Redditch. But anyway, until next week.
Maestro, my tip for you is remove access to devices and things you can fiddle with for the first half.
Well, I feel like you have to pay attention.
Yes.
Oh, right. So, okay.
Yeah, because
I probably.
All
What
right,
do you reckon the Bob Marley movie is going to be like?
I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you. I know. I'm not.
Trailer looks good. I thought the trailer looked well constructed.
Yes, but
I'm not sure if it might not be a little bit irritating.
I'm trying to do an outro. And I'm trying to.
Right, okay, sorry, mate. Yeah, we better go.
But what I will say about this is, I would be a lot happier with that film if they had cast a Jamaican.
Yes.
To play.
Yes.
There's
Anyway.
Yeah, but anyway, let's go off, and so until next week when we shall see some things. Well, these two and possibly Shaun will go see something in the cinemas. I will stay at home and hold up the Netflix end of the bargain. It's a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me.
And a goodbye from me.
Yes, get in touch with us. On Netflix versus Cinema on Twitter, where Holly will pay attention to you. Goodbye.